Fort Mifflin stands on Mud Island. It sits near the Delaware River in Philadelphia. This old fort has seen a lot of history. Many people say it is one of America's most haunted places. Dark stone walls rise from the earth. They have stood for centuries. Imagine the soldiers who walked these grounds. Think about the battles fought here. The air itself feels heavy with stories. Stories of bravery, of struggle, and perhaps of spirits who never left. This fort is more than just old stone and cannons. It's a place where the past feels very much alive, or perhaps undead. The wind whispers through the ramparts, carrying tales only the fort truly knows in their entirety. The British actually started building this fort. It was the 1770s. A British engineer named John Montresor designed it. He was a skilled man. The fort was meant to protect Philadelphia. It was a key city back then. The British wanted to control the Delaware River. This river was like a highway for ships. If you controlled the river, you controlled access to the city. So they built strong walls and planned for big guns. They called it Fort Island Battery. Little did they know, its destiny would soon change hands, and its name would be etched into the annals of a new nation's fight for freedom. A fight that would soak its very foundations in blood and sacrifice. When the American Revolution began, the Americans took over the fort. They knew it was very important. They renamed it Fort Mifflin. This was to honor General Thomas Mifflin. He was a respected leader in the Continental Army. The Americans worked hard to make the fort stronger. They knew the British would want it back. They added more defenses. They prepared for a fight. The fate of Philadelphia, the revolutionary capital, could depend on this very fort. Every soldier there understood the weight of their duty, the critical role they played in the larger struggle for independence that was sweeping across the colonies. The fort's location was its greatest strength. It sat on a muddy island. This made it hard for enemies to attack by land. The river was its main approach. Any ships trying to reach Philadelphia had to pass Fort Mifflin, and they also had to pass Fort Mercer on the New Jersey side. Together, these two forts could create a deadly crossfire. This made the river very dangerous for enemy warships. The British Navy was powerful, but Fort Mifflin stood as a determined guardian, a silent sentinel ready to unleash its fury upon any vessel that dared to challenge the nascent American sovereignty over these crucial waters. The strategic planning behind its placement was about to be severely tested. The real test for Fort Mifflin came in 1777. The British wanted Philadelphia badly. General Howe had captured the city, but the American forts on the Delaware River blocked his supply ships. Fort Mifflin became a huge problem for the British. They knew they had to destroy it, so they gathered their ships and their cannons. A massive fleet, the most powerful navy in the world, set its sights on this humble mud and wood fortress. The stage was set for one of the most intense bombardments of the entire Revolutionary War, a ferocious assault designed to crush the American spirit and secure the river. The siege began in late September. It lasted for many weeks. The British had many more ships and guns. They pounded the fort day and night. Cannonballs rained down. Bombs exploded everywhere. The noise must have been deafening. The wooden walls splintered. The stone ramparts cracked. The ground shook with each impact. Imagine being inside, a soldier huddled down. You would hear the constant roar of cannons. You would see destruction all around you. The sheer scale of the British attack was overwhelming, a relentless storm of iron and fire aimed at obliterating the fort and its defenders. Inside Fort Mifflin, only about 400 American soldiers stood their ground. They were led by brave men like Lieutenant Colonel Samuel Smith. They faced thousands of British attackers, yet they fought back with incredible courage. They repaired the walls as best they could. They fired their own cannons. They refused to give up, even when things looked hopeless. Food and ammunition ran low. Many soldiers were killed or wounded. Sickness spread through the ranks. Still, they held on, day after grueling day, their resilience a testament to their unwavering commitment to the cause of liberty. Their defiance echoing in every return shot fired against the might of the British Empire. Eventually the fort was almost completely destroyed. The main walls were gone. Most of the cannons were silenced. the British ships could sail very close. On November 15th, after a final, devastating bombardment that reduced the fort to a smoldering ruin, the remaining American soldiers knew they could do no more. Under the cover of darkness, they set fire to what was left of the fort. They rowed across the river to safety in New Jersey. They had held out for 6 long weeks. Their brave stand had delayed the British. This delay gave General Washington valuable time to regroup his army for the winter at Valley Forge, a crucial period for the Continental Army. After the Revolutionary War, Fort Mifflin was not forgotten. It was too important. The new American government decided to rebuild it. They started work in the 1790s. They used some of the old plans but made it stronger. They added new stone walls and better defenses. The fort was prepared for future threats. America was a young nation. It needed to protect its shores. The rebuilt fort stood as a symbol of this new strength and determination. It was a guardian once more, ready to defend Philadelphia if called upon, its scars from the Revolution buried beneath new layers of stone and resolve. The fort saw some action in later years. It was used during the War of 1812. Though no major battles were fought there then, its biggest role after the Revolution came during the Civil War. It was not used as a primary battle site then, either. Instead, Fort Mifflin became a military prison. Confederate soldiers captured in battle were held here. Some political prisoners were also kept within its walls. The sturdy casemates, designed to protect soldiers from cannon fire, now served to confine men. The fort's purpose shifted from defense against foreign enemies to holding domestic ones, reflecting the tragic division of the nation. Life for the prisoners at Fort Mifflin was harsh. The casemates were dark and damp. They were often overcrowded. Disease was common, food could be scarce and of poor quality. Many prisoners suffered terribly. Some died from their wounds or from sickness. The conditions were grim, a stark contrast to the open air and fields where many of these soldiers had recently fought. The thick stone walls that once offered protection now enforced a miserable confinement. The echoes of their suffering, some say, still linger within those cold, dark spaces, adding another layer to the fort's somber history. After the Civil War, the fort's military importance declined. New weapons and new ways of fighting made old forts less useful. It was used for a time for storage. It eventually fell into disrepair, but people remembered its history. They knew how important it had been. In the 20th century, efforts began to preserve Fort Mifflin. It was recognized as a National Historic Landmark. Today, it is a museum. People can visit and learn about its long and storied past. They can walk the ramparts where soldiers once stood and explore the very cells that held prisoners, connecting with a tangible piece of American heritage. With so much intense history, it is no surprise that Fort Mifflin is famous for ghosts. Soldiers died here in battle. Prisoners suffered and perished within its walls. Strong emotions like fear, pain, and anger can leave an imprint on a place. Many believe these imprints are the source of hauntings. The very stones of Fort Mifflin seem to cry out with these residual energies. Visitors and staff have reported strange things for many years. They hear unexplained noises. They see shadowy figures. They feel sudden cold spots. The fort doesn't just preserve history. For some, it actively relives it through paranormal occurrences. One of the most famous ghostly residents is the Faceless Man. He is often seen in the casemates, particularly casemate 11. This was where condemned prisoners were held. Legend says he was a revolutionary soldier, perhaps one who was hanged. People describe a dark figure, but his face is always obscured or missing. His presence is often accompanied by a feeling of deep sadness or dread. Then there is the Screaming Woman. Her cries are heard echoing through the fort, especially near the officers' quarters. Some say she was a woman who lost her family during the siege, her grief forever trapped within the fort's confines. Other spirits are said to wander Fort Mifflin too. There's the lamplighter, seen carrying his lantern along the ramparts at dusk, still making his rounds. Children's voices are sometimes heard, perhaps the spirits of children who lived at the fort with their soldier families. Disembodied footsteps echo in empty hallways. Doors open and close on their own. Shadowy figures of soldiers from different eras have been reported, still standing guard or reliving their final moments. These are not just isolated incidents, they are a pattern of experiences reported by many different people over many years, building a compelling case for the fort's haunted reputation. Because of these stories, Fort Mifflin has become a popular spot for paranormal investigators. Ghost tours are held regularly. People come hoping to experience something supernatural for themselves. They bring cameras, audio recorders, and other ghost hunting gear. Many capture unexplained evidence. Special events like overnight stays allow the truly brave to spend a night locked inside this haunted fortress. Fort Mifflin offers a unique experience. It is a place where history is not just learned, but sometimes it is felt. It's where the stories of the past meet the mysteries of the unknown, making it truly unforgettable for history buffs and ghost hunters alike.